oh, I made $1 million by 24, and I'd be like sick with jealousy. And I could have just clicked out of those videos and be like, I don't want to watch that. Hey there, my handsome and pretty little Cobras, and welcome back to the Cobra's Nest. For those of you who are new, my name is Mignon Cobra, and I make videos on money. So today's video is going to be another video in the money series, how to be successful in business and life. And today's video is how to learn from wealthy people. So I'm going to share the 5 things that have really helped me with like shifting my mentality away from like a scarcity mindset to like living in a world of abundance, financially speaking. And these have really helped me a lot. These are just great frameworks. These are not how to, but they kind of are how to shift your reality. And if you're wondering who I am, I have a portfolio of 6 figures in the bank, and I figured these could help out my Cobra babies because we are in a how-to era. I want my Cobra babies to elevate. So without further ado, let's just get into the video. Let's get it. Let's go. Woo. Okay, so coming in at number 1, cannot hate the rich to become rich. And this is something that I read in the Millionaire Mindset book. It was like, you can't hate people and think that somehow that's going to make you rich as well. And I mean, like, I've never really hated rich people. I've never really thought to hate rich people. Like, I can definitely understand the narrative of like eat the rich, but the book was like, he had like a nice car and then he drove it in like a not a nice neighborhood, and then they took the keys and they like keyed his nice car. But he's like, when he was in like in a wealthy area, they had nice cars too. So his car was like not that big of a deal. No one was trying to damage or destroy his car. And I really do think that that changed my mind, because I was like, yeah, if I want to be something, I can't go around saying I hate it. And I think that that is especially true with money. I think that a lot of like religion definitely pushes the narrative that like money is evil, especially like Catholicism, like your riches are with God, not in this life. And I think like, while I think that is extremely beautiful and spiritual, I don't necessarily agree with that sentiment. I do think that like, I don't think God would hate you if you got good with money. I mean, personally, I don't know. I feel like God has better things to think about than like what's in your bank account. So I think that like, if you've been struggling with like money, I think something that could really help is like maybe looking at the money narratives you have. If you think money is evil, rich people are evil, rich people are disgusting, well, the universe and God or whatever you believe in is going to be like, well, they definitely hate money. I wouldn't want that for them. I'm going to make sure that they don't have money. They've told me they don't want money. They're like, people with money are disgusting. Don't worry, I got you. We will keep you away from money. So I think that you have to kind of operate from a different mindset. And like on a more real note, for example, like I would watch these YouTube videos of people who be like, oh, I made $1 million by 24, and I'd be like sick with jealousy. And I could have just clicked out of those videos and be like, I don't want to watch that. And the YouTube algorithm would be like, okay, they don't want to watch that. But that's not the narrative that I took. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. I might learn something. And so I'd watch these videos and I tried to think of it from like, what could I learn? Getting angry or getting jealous, the universe will not let me become that person. So you can't hate the rich if you want to become rich. You have to kind of like go into it and be like, okay, like let me take a look. What can I learn? Coming in at number 2. So while it is beautiful to have like mental frameworks about like, the law of manifestation and just dream that all the money you want will come. And I think I do see that a lot with like money videos. It's like manifest a dollar amount, write it on a piece of paper, dream, and just put it out there into the universe. I do definitely agree with that. I think you should do that. But first and foremost, I think you should learn how taxes work, and you should learn about financial accounts on a real level. I think it is just so much more fun to just write like magical numbers on a piece of paper and dream. That's so much easier than like learning something boring like how do taxes work, learning about financial accounts. So I am Canadian, so I can only talk to Canadians. So if you are a Canadian, I would definitely recommend looking into your TFSA, your FHSA, your RRSP account, and then figuring out like once all of those are maxed out, opening a brokerage. And I think that that can be really useful in addition to kind of figuring out how taxes work. And I think not everybody is interested in taxes. I think that interest in tax really only comes when you have a certain amount of money. Then you realize, well, actually, I should learn about taxes because I do want to protect my capital. That might be the only reason that someone might be interested in learning about taxes. Otherwise, I know it's like a really dry subject. However, it doesn't hurt to learn from the get-go. Even when I didn't have a lot of capital, I did try my best. Like once I started like working for myself and like, I was like, okay, filing my own taxes, I was like, Nat, you need to learn, because if you're not good with your taxes, you're going to have headache after headache dealing with the CRA. And I was like, I do not want to deal with that. It's just like not worth it. So learning about taxes as much as you can be really helpful. And I think that anybody who has dealt with like tax issues will agree with me. It's not fun. Okay, coming in at number 3, learn about the FIRE community. So you might be wondering like, Nat, why are you so obsessed with money? Like,
why are you so money hungry?
It's not my fault. I discovered Mr. Money Stash in my early 20s. And like that man inspired me, and I was like, I can't go back. So if you're wondering what the FIRE community is, it stands for Financial Independence Retire Early Community. And it's this idea that you could like create like a capital or like a portfolio that's like large enough to like pretty much pay you. You could like live off your portfolio. And that idea was wild to me. I was like, what? I was like, that's crazy. I found him because it was like crazy dude rides his bike in the snow. And I was like, this was when I was an extreme minimalist. And so this came up on my feed. So I was like, oh, that's nice. He rides his bike in the snow. I used to ride my bike in the snow. So I was like, let's see what's good with this. And then by accident, I learned that he's a millionaire. And he's from Canada. And I was like, oh, geez. And I just got obsessed with the idea, like planted a seed in my mind, and I haven't been able to get it out. So I would highly recommend learning about the FIRE community. There's so much info out there. And that community definitely gets you very obsessed. There was a period of time where I had turned into a hungry ghost. I was like constantly comparing my FIRE numbers, my coast numbers with other people, and I felt really sick. But that aside, learning about the FIRE early movement will teach you great tips on like money saving, different frameworks, having like a mental shift paradigm of realizing that like you could use your money to buy yourself freedom. You could escape that 9 to 5 that you hate. Or maybe not. Maybe you like your 9 to 5. I've seen people FIRE faster than me because they have a 9 to 5. So actually, I don't agree with that narrative of like shaming the 9 to 5. I think you can definitely FIRE on a 9 to 5. I've seen people FIRE on a 9 to 5. So you don't need to run a business to be financially independent, be financially wealthy. I think it's just great to learn about the community because it might give you a different framework that like there's a different function for money outside of just like paying bills and buying things. Okay, coming in at number 4, learn from wealthy people. So let me tell you some wealthy people that I've learned from that have like dramatically shifted my paradigm, shifted my reality, and I think are phenomenal, and I think have like such a wealth of information to like learn from because a lot of them are like quote unquote self-made, and I think that that's beautiful. I don't think I can learn anything from a nepo baby. They didn't earn it themselves, but you can definitely learn from people who are quote unquote self-made to whatever extent that that is. So I would highly recommend Graham Stephan. His stuff is amazing. I loved his stuff because the starting point was like definitely being like frugal and hustling, and I love that because as somebody who was an extreme minimalist, I'm just a regular minimalist now. I love that. I was like, yes, no to like coffee out, make coffee at home. I also really learned a lot from Mr. Money Stash. So he's the one who like planted this idea of like the FIRE community in my head. And I was like, if he could do it, I could do it. He would like show his numbers. He would like inspire. He'd be like, don't buy this, don't buy that. He was like one of the first people who I ever heard who were like, don't waste money on like expensive luxury goods. And I was scandalized. I was like, how could you? I was like, you don't understand how nice it is to have leather goods. So take everything with a grain of salt. Like I do have like a lot of like nice leather goods, and I'm still on a FIRE journey, but it is definitely a great framework because I definitely would be so much more consumeristic, or I wouldn't even be on a FIRE journey if it wasn't for Mr. Money Stash. And then coming in at number 3 from people who are super wealthy that have taught me so much is Alex Hormozi and like Layla Hormozi. They are such a wealth of like resources. They're definitely on the heavier end of like how to run a business, the different mindsets you can have around money. I'm so grateful that they had the courage to share everything that they've like experienced, because honestly, it's just like gold. Like it's just been so like eye-opening. I would highly recommend, and I think he would be a good example of somebody who I could have clicked away. One of the first videos that I saw from him, he was like, they profit like 200 million a year. And he's like, I don't say this to brag, and I don't say this to inspire envy in others, but rather to show what is possible. And if I had clicked away because, you know, point number 1, don't hate the rich, you can't become rich. If I saw those kind of videos, I was like, that's insane. Like what? His like philosophies on how to run a business have been super instrumental in my own business. I take a lot of what he says and I implement it in my business. And I think a big part of my success has been like listening to somebody who's further ahead. So I think that if you are on a wealth building journey, it would be really helpful to look at people who are doing what you want to do instead of like trying to figure it out yourself. Don't reinvent the wheel. People have already done it. Just literally copy and paste till you're there yourself. And then coming in at number 5, this is a framework that's helped me tremendously, is this idea or believing or genuinely believing anyone can be wealthy. Will picked up the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and prior to that, it was actually because of Rich Dad Poor Dad I became a minimalist. But prior to that, I was like, I just love shopping, and I still love shopping, but that book was like, anyone could be rich, like anyone can buy stocks. And I was like, what? I genuinely thought only rich people could be rich people and poor people are poor people, and like that's the end of the story. Like that's it. Like whatever station you're born into, like that's it. But realizing that like no, I could like live in a world of financial abundance. Like I don't have to struggle to pay my bills. Like it doesn't have to be like this has been revolutionary for me, because maybe you think you can't be wealthy either. Maybe you can think of all of the reasons why other rich people are rich and you are not rich. And I just think like that's just like not a really healthy narrative to have, because I used to have that narrative. I thought that only rich people could be rich. But then then when I realized like, no, things could be different, that really inspired me to make many drastic changes in my life. I think the year after I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I got into teacher's college, and that increased my salary. After I finished teacher's college, I got accepted into med school, and I was like, I could increase my learning ability again. So off I went to med school. After I finished med school and it didn't work out, I was like, I need to do something. So I started a business. So yeah, I think honestly at the end of the day, it's just kind of realizing that like, if this is something that you want, you can believe that it can be possible for you. It's possible for anybody. If you want it, it can be so. So I hope that my Cobra babies could have enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.